Hey, I hope you're good. So this week I've got a couple of vintage rhythm machines in the studio. I've got the Roland Rhythm 77 or TR77 from 1972 and the Korg Rhythm 55B from 1982. So there's 10 years of engineering progress for you. I went from looking like a Corby trouser press to looking like a fax machine. So these were the precursor to the drum machine, with drum machines being fully programmable and giving you the ability to edit, alter, manipulate the sounds, moving into digital samples. These use the older analog subtractive means of generating sound, and also the patterns are presets that are hardwired into the units. You have some control, you can change the tempo, you can put fills in, flip between the rhythms. There are volumes for each of the sounds on both of them. And this one also has a swing on it as well, which is quite cool. But in many ways, they're quite limited compared to drum machines. However, I had an idea to turn these into the drum machines that they never were. So as I was saying, these units both have volume dials for the main groups of sounds. So if you wanted to sample them, you can isolate the sounds. So say I wanted a snare, I'd pick the right kind of rhythm, like that. Take everything else out. There's my snare, slow it right down. And there you go, I've got really clean samples of the snare with a big space between them, so there's not any overlap. So basically I went through the Rhythm 77 and the Korg Rhythm 55B and isolated every sound I possibly could and sampled it 20 times so that I had 20 round robins, which I'll go into more in a minute. I got all of them out of the Korg. I got about 90% out of the Rhythm 77, and the reason being is some of these percussion sounds, the Latin percussion sounds, share an output. And there weren't any rhythms I could find where certain sounds were played in isolation. They were always happening with another sound at the same time, even at the slowest tempo. So I got about 90% of the sounds out of this, and I got 100% of the sounds out of the Korg Rhythm 55. So the reason I took 20 samples of each sound that I could isolate was because analog is all about that variation between one sound and the next. Each sound is created in circuitry when a trigger comes in, so it's not like a sample where it's the same sound every time. It's a unique sound every time, so you want to try and capture that with a sample pack. So I thought 20 round robins, even if you're playing really fast stuff or repeated hi-hat stuff that's doing sixteenths or something, 20 samples will trick your ear. You're not going to recognise a sample that played 20 samples ago. So that was the reason for that. So then I brought all the sounds into Kontakt and made some multi-patches. And the beauty of this is, as well as those great sounds from the analog machines, with all those round robins, we now have individual volume, individual panning, individual tuning, and individual outputs for every single sound. So I can process the kick drum, put compression on it, EQ, any effects I wanted in isolation, and then do the snare drum, etc. So this has turned these rhythm machines into drum machines, effectively. So let's take a little listen to the result. So there you go, there's the sampled drum machine versions of those rhythm machines. And I think they sound really cool, really usable sounds, loads of character, but crucially with the ability to properly program them down to the very minute detail. So I'm really pleased with how these came out. So these multis and the individual samples in folders are available to download absolutely free. It's linked in the description. So go and help yourself and have some fun. Just as a little outro thing, I just did a little groove with them at a different tempo and put some synths with it to see how that sounded. So that's going to play us out. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I'll catch you on the next one.